Everyone. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. I do upload on Mondays and Thursdays. Also on Fridays, a very short video regarding a quote to take us into our weekend. It's called Philosophical Fridays, which I just started last week. Welcome to any new subscribers. I'm delighted and thrilled to have you here. As you can see behind me is the wonderful introducing his son and presenting to others the wonderful Cecil Chip Murray, who got his wings, as we say it in the Black community, on Friday, April 5th. That was Friday, April 5th. And I just like to honor this man. So if you're at all acquainted with him, he was a wonderful theologian, but he was known more for his unspoken, uncalled civil rights, because typically we call it civil rights when we are trying to regulate a condition by which Blacks are targeted or are being misrepresented. So we just call that civil rights. Now, all of these are my words. So this is my summation of this man. This is from my heart. When in reality, it's a calling for community engagement to be treated civilly right, is what I'd say. Because there is no other reason why you shouldn't be. So let's focus on him. So Reverend Cecil Chip Murray was 94 years old when he passed on that Friday, April 5th. He was overseeing FAME, First African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Los Angeles for more than 3 decades, where at that time, then Mayor Tom Bradley, who had mayored the city for many, many years, many decades actually, I believe. I shouldn't say decades, many years, was also a member at this church. And many civil rights agents, many activists, many well-known citizens, many impactful people also attended this church, is what I'd say. When there became the Rodney King Verdict in 1992, I believe, 1992, and then the forthcoming riots, which quelled the city for quite some time, inflamed it actually, literally and figuratively. Cecil Chip Murray became the voice of calm during that time. His church housed and held many meetings for Blacks, community activists, to have conversations about what was going on at that very time. And he became very pivotal in calming the city, almost in the same way that he had used his pulpit to calm the crisis in Black communities, because the same church was the home of calm during the 1965 Watts riots, in which Korean and Black relationships were tethered and very terse. And then when the Rodney King Verdict riots came, some 30 years later, almost 27 for sure, but 30 years later, the same occurrence happened, by which those cultures of people begin to clash, I'd say. And Reverend Cecil Chip Murray was a voice of calm there. And these are facts that anyone who knows him would say. There doesn't take a Wikipedia, there doesn't take a news reading, this is who he was in this community. And And having gone to that church during some of those times and to just visit the church at times, he had the presence and essence to speak powerfully and contain a riotous room with the simple calm of his voice is how I'd categorize it. He was an effectual man. He was an impactful man. He was a compatible man. He stirred calm from distressed situations. That's a very unique gift. That's a very unique gift. He was able to intervene for the police by which they wouldn't appear to calm the city themselves because of their own natural fears at that time. And one of the things that was left with me at the time, now I'm talking during the Rodney King Verdict LA riots of 1992, is how the police were actually called back to not come out. I never got over it. I never forgot that. So it's as if the city had to fend for itself because it became such a crisis that the officers didn't feel safe themselves to come out. This is why the armed forces, I don't want to go back to that dark time, but I'll drop it in the description box. But they had to have external forces to come out. Even then, Cecil Chip Murray was a powerful, dynamic, impactful, effective voice at that time, I'd say. And what a gift. And I think some years later, I know he spent 3 decades at Fame. Some years later, he retired and went on to teach at USC. And he became a USC fellow. And USC created a center that's called the Cecil Chip Murray Center for Community Engagement. And I'll drop that in the description box. I'm saying that all of that to say this about this wonderful person. He met with presidents. I recall many times he met with President Bill Clinton at the time. He met with President George W. Bush. And he was this powerful voice, but was a voice of calm. He never went after fame, although that was the name of the church. He preached that. He never went for, he at times was on CNN. He at times was on the local news. I believe at one time, I'll search it, and if it's there, I'll put it in the description box. I believe at one time he was one of Time's Persons of the Year. It may not be but he was on the list. He was very effective, but he never sought fame, although fame was the name of his church. And I always found him to be a person that was interested in his people being viewed as a people none different than anyone else, but was treated different than everyone else. And he had a very good understanding of that. And might we all have a very good understanding of that and erase racism and erase racism, eliminate what is the dividing factors within ourselves, and find, like he did, a center of excellence by calming the storm and by fellowshipping with others in such a way that harmony can't escape us. Okay? So this video is dedicated to rest in peace Cecil Chip Murray for all that he had done for the city and how that spread across the nation and how some may not even know his name, but they know his work. They may not have visited his church, but he carried the same fame for his church by fault of not even seeking it. So this is for him. This is for his church. This is for the mourning they're going through. This is for the mourning we're all going through because of such a great loss. But to count it all joy that we ever had it to begin with. Have a good evening. Good night.